I've looked at all of your landscapes, and pretty good. Some put in more effort than others. One mistake, I think it wasn't in this class, but in another class, they hooked up the texture map to the normal map, and that means it's using the colors as the direction the light should be reflecting off of, X, Y, and Z, which is, no, don't do that. But yeah, good use of material functions for most of you guys. Use of modern water, good, important. Weight, the WAB function, and having layer blends. Yeah, it was good. It's good overall. Good experience for you guys. So, like I said, I'm not an art person, but I've been really experimenting more with materials and landscapes and things like that recently because it's kind of cool. And anytime I hear myself say, you know, I'm not good at something, there's always a voice in the back of my head saying, you should work on that then. You know, I've been to Japan a number of times, and I was like, I don't think I could learn Japanese. It seems really hard. And then, and now I've taken, I'm in my second semester of Japanese, and I've realized, no, I can't learn Japanese. It's really hard. it's a, yeah. Colin knows what I'm talking about. It makes me despair to ever just carry on a conversation with somebody. It's so hard. Okay. The water took a second to get working. It's a lot harder than the Japanese one for sure. Yeah, and I took Japanese 1 18 months ago, and so all that has decayed. And so vocabulary from back then and grammar points from back then are like... yeah, so Muya's water was not working on the landscape because you have to click enable edit layers, which is something you needed anyway for the layer blending to work on it. All right, so today we're going to talk about level design, and so a couple of you guys, I gave you an alternative assignment where you could make a first-person shooter map instead of doing the programming assignments, because not everybody is programming savvy. And so I gave you guys that assignment. And so all of you have played first-person shooters, I know, because you've all taken IS-50A, and I do Quake in it. So we can probably actually launch Quake if you guys still have that. Prado, did you do the landscaping assignment? Silence. Let's see if I have Quake ready to go. Almost finished it. Okay. Need to get the water working. Yeah, so... Feel that hard drive spin up. There we go. 50 Quake World server. Yeah, so I don't think I have the firewall set up right for you guys here. So you guys aren't going to be able to connect in, but it should stream. Okay, so launch client. Oh, probably should have run that shortcut. And I need to switch screens. Video options. Windowed. Pull it over to screen 2. There we go. And I will hide my video here. And then if I switch it back to borderless windowed, damn it, it switched back to the other screen. Really? Is there a monitor option where I can choose the monitor? No. I just snap it over this way. Okay. Anyhow, so I do need to run it using the server. Launch server shortcut. actually not this one, actually. This one. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about map design. So we've been working with materials and stuff like that. So here we have a game that's 24 years old, and the graphics, you can see the tiling on the walls, right? You can see the tiling on the center area here. There are water shaders, but I have that disabled. You can see there's some refraction going on there. So there are people still working on the Quake 1 client, and to be fair, it doesn't look terrible, honestly. With a little bit of macro texture variation, a little bit of dirt maybe added to the walls, this could be pretty decent. And the nice thing is the frame rate is ridiculous. Like running a 24-year-old game on a 2080 Ti, I get infinite frame rates essentially. But that's not actually why we're here to talk about it today. We're not here to talk about the graphics and the bloom and stuff like that. We're talking about map design. So the most classic. So there's two different modes that really matter for map design. There's deathmatch, and so for that one, let's see if I have Archon set up properly. Archon map. What is it? No, but I don't have Archon set up. So this is a deathmatch map, and so deathmatch is a free-for-all shooter mode. This is the one that I think Muya used in his gun game mod for Quake last time. And yeah, 4K Quake in 4K resolution, right? And so you can see that some of this stuff needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but let's use Scout. And so deathmatch maps have a different set of design criteria than team-based games, right? You can see that out of this area, there's only kind of like one option or two options that are open, right? From down here, I can't really get up there from now. Here, it's kind of closed off. I can maybe hit it, get in here, and then it teleports me right back into the middle of this. Like, it's not a big level, right? Like, this is really it, right? You've got this little staircase area here. You can jump over and get the yellow armor. If you fail it, you land in the lava. And then there's a little fall down area there to go back to this room that we started at. Oops. It's got the spawn points marked so that you know not to step on it, because if somebody spawns in, it kills you. And then you got a little room here where people can fight, and a couple weapons. So you just basically kind of run around. See the different color gives you ultimate health, 100 plus 100 health. And so this is all very linear, right? Like there's a couple branches, and they all kind of weave back in on themselves, like this. See, I'm back overlooking that area there, and there's a thing here, and that extends the bridge if you're too dumb to be able to get it normally. And that's it. That's the entire map. And so what this does is it forces people into these kind of channels of shooting each other, right? When people are in this room, they're going to just be constantly running through the corridors like this, just over and over again, and they hear explosions, and they can come running over. And it's kind of like a pretzel almost, right? Like there's always a couple different ways you can go, and there's like these teleporters, and but basically people are just going to be fighting in these corridors like this. And I've got cheats, right? But that's it, right? And so that's a deathmatch. Oh, it wasn't you that did Gun Game? Yeah, this is the map that they were playing Gun Game on. Map DM2. And so Quake came with a bunch of really classic deathmatch maps. Go to scouting again. And you see how, like, that thing was sticking out? Like, that was like a dead giveaway. You're supposed to boop it with your nose. Different areas for you to fall into, different hazards for you to fall into, weapons to pick up. Again, just very... You know, there's a couple branches, but it still, like, feeds people into these long corridors of... Yeah, secret. Got better armor. Pop out that way. Nice open area for there to be conflicts in. Drop down, get yellow armor. Dump people into lava. Wow. Okay. Can't come back that way. There we go. Teleport through. No, I fell off the thing. I have cheats. Grenade launcher. You shoot grenades down at people down there. So it gives you a nice open area for people to have, you know, duels in and things like that. And, you know, fun environmental options like dumping people into the lava, things like that. But basically, that's it. That's the whole map. You can learn this entire map in just, like, a couple minutes. Like, if that. Like, you just... All you have to do is run, and occasionally you'll be presented with a branch like this, right? Should I go, oh, there's an armor there, I'm going to take that one. Oh, let's see what's here. Oh, look, let's go this way. Yeah. Oh, look, there's people shooting down there. Oh, look, let me shoot at those people down there. Oh, okay. You know? Oh, look, there's armor back there. How do I get that? How do I get that armor? Let's see if I can figure out how to get that armor, you know? Ah, here we go. Got it. And then let's hit that. Oh, look, it just killed everybody. You see that? It's like, it's almost accidental. And so, the, you know, the gameplay is very fast. Even if you've never played this map before, you can learn it very quickly. You just walk around, there's people in there, you just shoot them. You know, you just chase them around, shooting them. They chase you around. There's a couple dead ends and buttons. And that's it, that's the entire map. So that is Deathmatch, right? And so Deathmatch typically will have these designs, kind of like a little pretzel, or figure 8 maybe, something like that. A couple different branches, so it's a little interesting, but overall, you can just learn it real fast. These are not large maps. You know, maybe that's the issue nowadays, where maps are all just quarters. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. FF13, yeah, that was the one. So the design of most of the maps in Final Fantasy XIII were just straight lines. Like, you just... You go through and... No, that's not even right. Like, it's literally... Yeah, that's more like it. Yeah, you just kind of walk from one end of the map to the other, and you walk from one end of the map to the other, and one end of the map to the other, one end of the map to the other, one end of the map to the other, and one end of the... Or actually, that's the start. So it's the other way around. And then you finally finish. And so that is just poor map design, in my opinion. It's very boring. And this deathmatch map is not hard. And the reason why they do that, right, is because they don't want people to get lost. Right? But these deathmatch maps show you that you don't necessarily have to have people get lost, right? Like, nothing in here is going to cause me to get lost. Even though there's a couple different options, there's a couple places where I could, you know, maybe, oh no, right? You can shoot people in, you can fall in, there's interesting map terrain, there's buttons in the one big open space, you know, you can dump people into the lava right here. There's the big open area for people to fight. There's a thing going back and forth over there, you know, that maybe there's some stuff up there. There could be people on here and people over here, and they're, you know, maybe a person's in here and they're just like shooting out, you know, right? And so most shooters use the same maps for every game mode. Yeah, and that's a problem too, right? Like, The original CTF maps a lot of times use deathmatch maps, and that's just not good practice, right? Deathmatch maps should be used for deathmatch, right? And so if we switch over, we can look at the iconic map 245 art. We can look at the iconic 2-fort map for Team Fortress. This was one of, if not the first map made for Team Fortress. It was the one that everyone played. It went through different revisions. This is revision 5. It's still not pretty, right? Like, this is a garbage looking map. Even back then, like, it was, you know, you got a a giant, you know, rectangular prism right here. You know, this is not the height of map design even from 24 years ago, right? You got a solid block of water, you know, block of green, a very blocky bridge. But the reason why 2-forts was so popular was because it really had a good flow to it. So players will spawn in spawn rooms, which protect them from spawn camping to a certain extent. Later versions of it added in brushes or volumes that would kill people. So like if you're on the enemy team and you try coming up here, then they added like a brush that would push you back down. And so they made it hard to like get in here and set pipe bomb traps and things like that and spawn camp people. So you spawn in a room back here that's safe. The enemy can't enter it. You come out, you get your resupply, takes you up, tops you up on health and armor. And then the normal flow is you come out the door here, the door there opens, and now you're on the sniper balcony. And the snipers are typically on the sniper balcony, and you walk out here and you'll see laser dots on there, and they will blow you away, right? But assuming you survive that, or maybe your snipers are winning, you jump down here, you run across the bridge, and this bridge is the first major choke point on the map. This is a really important concept when doing map design, is controlling the flow of action on a map. Okay? So when you're making a map, you have to think about what areas do I want to have open, what areas do I want to be tight, this thing here, you know, it's just a corridor that kind of packs people into it if they're underwater. The bridge is kind of narrow, and so if people are going to cross the bridge, they've got kind of a narrow space to maneuver in, and so people can put fire down the bridge and kind of control the ground of the bridge. And then this area here is a little more open, the grass area here, and so you'll see people running around and shooting each other on that. The bridge area less so. Usually on the bridge you're just trying to get across. And then they'll come up here, and then there is another choke point right here and right here. And so what's interesting about this is that it's not exactly a choke point because you can go around it, right? So if you're trying to get to the room back there, most people just will come in and just hook a right. They'll go this way. But if the enemy team is putting up a lot of defense right here, they're putting a lot of pipe bombs and sentry guns and stuff like that in here, then you're just like, nope, forget about that, and you can bypass. And so that's an important concept in map design, is oftentimes having a slower way to bypass choke points. So if they heavily trap that one, then the offense can come in that way instead. And if they heavily trap both of them, well, then you can, if you're good at rocket jumping, you can rocket jump up here and bypass that entirely and come down into the spiral that way. And so choke points are really important because terrain makes games interesting. And feel free to chime in at any point, guys. I'm just talking. Feel free to say stuff on, if you agree or disagree with me, it's fine. But terrain is what makes games interesting. The reason why I never played Minecraft is because it was boring to me. And it was boring to me because I ran it one time, and it did not look like this. Nope, 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 nope. Yes. Pre-alpha. Okay. Yeah, when I ran the game, it looked like this, except there wasn't any stone. So, there's a reason why I've never really played Minecraft, and the reason for it is because this is boring, right? This is a lot more interesting, right? That's a lot more. That's Terraria or something. But yeah, that's interesting, right? Terrain makes things interesting. It adds, fun to a game, right? A giant plane with one texture on it. Look at that. Look at all these people playing Minecraft. I don't get it. It's just like a featureless plane, right? So, yeah, this is literally what. Oh, there's a YouTube link even. How exciting, right? So I launched the game. I saw this, and went, nope, not for me, and I quit. And I've never played. I've never played. I've never played Minecraft since. I've tried the pre-alpha. It's rough. Yeah, movement. Yeah. And so, I understand it's gotten better. It's just, I'm fairly judgmental when it comes to games, and I just looked at that and went, nope, there's no terrain. It's not interesting to me. And so in Two Forts, you've got, even though it's a fairly basic design, it's been copied any number of times, the idea of a choke point in the middle, and this is right in between the spawns on both sides, which means that if you can think of first-person shooters almost in terms of like a Dota, or like a MOBA, a game where they're spawning armies on either side and the armies meet in the middle and fight. This is the spot right here where the armies fight. Assuming both teams are even, they will constantly be spawning and jumping off here and coming down here, or maybe they spawn over here. Maybe they spawn back here, and come out here, resupply, and they hook a left, and they jump off the sniper balcony, and then here they are. And so people will just be constantly spawning on both sides, meeting in combat right here in this choke point. That's interesting. And so if you want to bypass it, then you have to jump in the water. And then water is slow, there's water friction, and it takes you a while to bypass. And so it's much faster to take the bridge. And in this game, timing is everything, right? And so if you really need to, if you're getting lit up, yeah, sure, jump in the water, and they probably will be waiting for you here. But it's a way of bypassing a choke point. And so this notion of choke points where like one team can try and hold the choke point and shut down the other team, there is a bypass to it. You can jump in the water and swim under, but it's slower, it's less efficient, and then you can possibly mine this area as well and stop them there as well. So I played a lot of defense on Two Forts, and I would usually start by trying to actually hold this area right here. And then if we got pushed out of here, because this controls that entrance, and that entrance. People could still come into the map by running up this way and then rocket jumping up to here, and then coming in that way. But we had 16 people on defense, or 8 people on defense, right? 16 versus 16 teams. And so I would typically try to control this area here. I would watch for people coming up the water entrance, especially spies, and I would blow them up. And these 2 entrances here I could watch, and I can control both of these entrances here. And so I would sit there and just kind of rotate between these 5 entrances and do my best to stop the enemy team there. And then if they pushed me out of there, which would usually happen because it was usually just me, then I'd fall back to this room here. And this room here, the ramp room, you've either got to come up this way, which is a really long, narrow, winding path, or there's the shorter path right here, which is also narrow and winding, but you come up right here, and this is a blind corner, right? So you come up this way, and the entire enemy team could be hanging around the corner there, you can't see it. You come up here, boom, you die, right? Usually when you're on defense. This room right here is usually very heavily contested. So there's usually like 1 or 2 sentry guns in here, because this is where the flag comes up, right? And so they usually have a couple sentry guns in here. There's a demo man with pipe bombs right here. And so you force the enemy team to kind of walk up the long way, but now all the defenses are there shooting at you as you're coming up this way. And so my roommate would usually sit here and shoot at people down this way, where I would sit there and he would guard this side over here. And so by controlling this, we could control both of the ways out for the flag. So this is the normal way the flag comes out. But if somebody's really a super cool awesome sauce, they can actually jump up here as well. And so I would, maybe hang out here, shoot at people coming in this way. He would hang out there, shoot at people coming in that way. And if as long as we could hold that, we didn't actually have to worry about them capturing the flag. And then if we got pushed out of there, then we would fall back to the flag room. The flag room's down here. It's got 2 choke points. Again, one choke point is pretty rough to deal with. So always having a bypass way is good. It's a good map design. These 2 things both kind of can be held here. So if you put a sentry gun here, it can kind of cover both ways out for the flag. That said, you could probably, like, if you ran the flag out this way, you could get cover from the wall here and then dip around like that and probably not die. And then if you're good, you jump up here, rocket jump up there, jump down here, and then be on your way. So 2 forts is a series of branches and choke points, right? And so over and over again, there's 2 different paths here. There's 2 different places to jump up there. 1 big choke point in the middle. And so what you have to think about when you're making these things is the flow of a game, right? So snipers are going to be hanging out here, shooting at people. They're protected from rockets. It's kind of hard to put a rocket in the hole here properly. So snipers are going to be sitting up here, shooting at people. People are going to be constantly spawning and jumping down, shooting at each other all the time. The defense is going to be trying to block any place where there's choke points. The offense will discover where the choke points are, and if they're heavily contested, they'll go around them. And so the map needs to allow all of those different considerations. You have to be able to, like, because a defense, like, if there's just one way into a room, like if it was this, the defense will put all 8 people there and just have every single person on defense holding that one tiny little choke point like that, and the offense will never be able to win unless they're just ungodly better, right? Or if the game supports options to defeat choke points, which this game does. And so one of the game design decisions I made when making this game was to have counters to every strategy. And so it's based on the philosophy of Magic the Gathering. In Magic the Gathering, every strategy has a counter to it, and by and large. And so it's like, all right, what if all 8 people were blocking a single choke point? How would I counter that? Well, first thing I would do is probably get I don't know, a lot of health and armor, get a decent enough speed, maybe get a spike hit, try to sneak in. Usually doesn't work. If they're holding a choke point, they'll probably just kill you. But I would probably get a det pack, and I'd probably get a tossable det pack. And so what those are mass area destruction weapons. And so if you can get off a det pack, it will clear an entire room, right? So if you were able to get a det pack off in this room, it would literally kill everybody and every defense into it. So all you would need to do is survive long enough to get down a det pack. And if they don't have any of the tools to defuse det packs, it goes off, it wipes out their entire choke point, and then our team, they're all dead. All their defenses are dead, and then we run in and capture it. And so the existence of these 2 items here force defenses to not just bunch up on one spot, even if there is a choke point. Because if all you need is one person to get off a det pack, and then it destroys your entire defense. And so it forces you to do defense in depth and have fallback positions and things like that. Yeah. And probably some of the grenades as well, like the Merv grenade is a great area denial thing, as is the fire grenade, which isn't in here. Flare, caltrop, crack. The crack grenade is good if they're going heavy on sentry guns and things like that. The crack grenade is designed to destroy sentry guns. And so for every strategy, there is a counter strategy. And I might also go Martyr. So Martyr has the ability to turn themselves invincible. And so what you can do is you can pop your ability, go invincible for 3 seconds, and then just start doing this kind of stuff. Grenades everywhere. So you turn yourself invincible and just spam grenades and wipe them all out, right? Let's see. Do I have these things bound? I don't know if I do or not. And so you can go invincible, and it's not quite long enough to put down a det pack. But if you get just enough time before you pop the martyr ability, then you could get off a det pack on somebody. So that is my little spiel on map design. You have to think about flow. You have to think about choke points. You have to make sure people don't get lost. It's one of the things that CS:GO here. One of the things that Valve is really good at is that they'll create heat maps of their maps. And so this is tracking in, I guess it's CS:GO. It's tracking where, let me turn my screen back on there. It's tracking where people run on the map. And so this is a really good thing to do. If you guys are going to go into industry, you need to spend a lot of time actually watching your players and watching what they do, right? If you're like one of the Among Us developers, what rooms are people going to? What rooms are people not going to? Where are people dying? Track the death locations of every person in Among Us, right? Track where corpses are discovered the most quickly. You know, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of play testing and a lot of data generation, a lot of data analysis that goes on in order to make a good game. Okay, and so they did this for Half-Life, and they found areas where like people were getting lost, right? They were just kind of wandering around in areas that didn't go anywhere, and they're like spinning in circles, you know, essentially running around trying to find their way out. You know, if this was a single player map, there's probably no reason for them to be back here, and you'd see people just like kind of going, I don't know where I'm supposed to go, you know, and this is the exit. And so, you know, the downside of this is that maps nowadays are linear as hell, right? Like, you know, the developers would be like, all right, they're getting lost over here and over here, so we're just going to close them off and just force people into a straight line map so they can't get lost. And that has the downside of making maps very boring, right? Because remember, terrain and branches and choke points add interest to a map, and it makes the game more fun, having more options. Among Us is a very simple game, but there's enough interesting places to go and areas to hide, and there's cameras to look at, and that kind of stuff that you know, it's an interesting game to play. Here's a meme on it. So, first person map design, 1993. Yeah, this is actually pretty accurate. This looks like a map from Doom, where they have these giant complexes and there's secrets, and there's a flow. You go through this way and you work your way back, and then you work your way this way and you work your way back, and it'll keep having you re-enter the same common area multiple times, and maybe it respawns monsters after one of them, and then you go in through a corridor area, and they had these hugely big architected maps, and the modern Doom remake, I think, recaptured that feeling pretty well. And then if you play like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it's like you walk down a path, cutscene, walk down a path, cutscene, you know. And part of the reason why they do that, again, is because they have been instrumenting, you know, they've been watching where players go, and they don't, you know, when people get lost, they'll give up on a game, right? And so they don't want people to give up on their games, so they make crappy maps so that people don't get lost. But then, you know, they don't see when people like me go, yeah, this is boring, dude, I'm not going to play this. Like, I played through Call of Duty Modern Warfare on the hardest difficulty, and it was just dumb. Like, it's just really poor, crappy map design. You're in essentially a corridor, even though it'll look open. You're in a corridor, and there might be a building here and a building there, and infinite monsters spawn in the building. So you headshot a guy, you move 10 feet, he respawns, you headshot him again, move 10 feet. You're like, what the hell, dude? Do these people not see the corpses of their buddies? Like, what's going on? And you get into a building, and you run through with your shotgun and clear it out, get all this loot in it. You leave the building, and then all the monsters respawn behind you, and you're like, what the hell? And so all you can do is just keep moving forward, because they never run out of monsters. They just infinitely respawn. And you're just in this corridor. You're just running through it as quickly as possible. You know, just there's infinite monsters. It's just incredibly unappealing map design. Like when I'm playing a first person shooter, uh, especially if it's like a Doom style game, something like that, I like being able to clear areas and then mentally know, okay, the area behind me is cleared. I don't need to check it. One of the Doom remakes, the one with the flashlight, it was really bad in that design because the second you leave a room, it'd usually spawn a monster behind you. So mentally, you're like, that room's clear, and then it spawns a monster that attacks you from behind as kind of a horror thing. It was a pitch black game, like the was it Doom 3? Yeah, it was just a really poorly designed game because the light, if you had the light out, you couldn't shoot, right? And so you had to bring out your light to look at things because it's like pitch black otherwise, right? And so your character couldn't hold a light and shoot at the same time, and then the game, and then you'd clear an area, and then you'd take 10 steps, and it would spawn a monster behind you, and it would attack you. It was just super frustrating. And so I think the most popular mod for the for Doom 3 was actually the flashlight mod that just duct taped a flashlight to the gun. You know, so you can see how dark the this game was, right? And the fact that you couldn't look at monsters and shoot at them at the same time was just super, super bad game design, in my opinion. I mean, it was designed to be a horror game, you know, but like the horror is due to technical limitations, like people just get annoyed. So, I prefer more of this style of game design than this. I hated the Final Fantasy, was it 14 or whatever, that was like snow and lightning, because every map in Final Fantasy 14 was just a quarter. Every once in a while, there'd be a small branch with a treasure chest in it, and that's your exploration bonus. You go and, oh look, 10 feet down the way there's a treasure chest. You walk there, you get a potion. Cool. Walk back. Yeah, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is much better, right? Breath of the Wild has areas that are more dangerous that maybe you shouldn't go to. You know, cold areas, hot areas, you need to kind of get to the point where you've got clothing for it. But you can go there if you want. You know? And the game will teach you. Like, your character starts shivering. You know, you don't die immediately, but you start shivering when it gets cold. And then that kind of clues you in, like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be here until you get some, you know, heavy clothing on, right? Or maybe you see some really scary monsters. You're like, maybe I shouldn't go that way, you know? The Hyrule Castle in the center, you can go right there, like, very quickly into the game. You can just walk to the Hyrule Castle. And it's filled with, like, all these, like, crazy enemies. And you're like, maybe I shouldn't go there. But you can. And that's a much cooler feeling. Like, Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, is one of the best designed games ever. Arguably, the weapon destruction mechanism, you can debate that. You can debate that. But as far as like map and puzzle design goes, I think Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece. Dungeon design in the older ones, yeah. I mean, in Zelda 1, you can almost do the dungeons in any order. Like, sometimes you'd have to go into part of one to get a tool or something. But you could do the dungeons in Zelda 1 out of order. It's an open world map. And you can explore and have fun, you know? So, yeah, Skyward Sword's getting remade, I heard. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. So, and then Breath of the Wild also exemplifies a philosophy that I'm a firm believer in, which is at odds with most of the industry. Most of the industry, it's like, if there's a puzzle, if there's a puzzle, there's a right way of solving it, right? So if there is a series of levers and you pull them up and put them down, and some of them do this and some of them do that, there's one combination that is the right answer. And you Google it, you know, if you can't figure it out, it's like up, up, down, up. Okay, cool. You know, in Breath of the Wild, pretty much most of the puzzles you can solve a lot of different ways, because Breath of the Wild, their approach is something that I believe, especially when doing like role-playing game design, pen and paper too, not just computers, but pen and paper. I believe in giving the players tools instead of options. You guys understand? So options would be, do you want to do option 1, build a bridge? Option 2, light a fire. Option 3, you know, summon lightning. Option 4, you know, and then you pick one. It's like, sorry, that was the wrong choice. Zap, you know. Oh, you got it right. You know, that's giving people options, right? You have multiple choice. It's incredibly boring. Incredibly boring. A lot of RPG dialogue is that way, right? Like, there's a bunch of dialogue, and you're supposed to just pick the right answer, right? Persona has that problem. Persona's education system, which is honestly quite funny. In Persona 5, you actually listen to lectures from Japanese instructors, and then at the end of the week, you're given a test on them, right? So, so the game's trying to make sure you're actually listening to the lessons, like as a player, and then at the end of the week, you're tested on it, right? Which is really, really funny, and I actually really like that element of the game. But all of that can be Googled, right? And because you're penalized pretty heavily if you get them wrong, and you're rewarded very well if you get them right, and you can't load quickly back into it. You can't quick load back into it, and so people just have the cheat sheet of all the answers, and they just hit it. Which defeats the point, kind of. You in Persona 5, you can press the pad button; it just tells you the answer. Really, does it? I've never seen that. That's disappointing. But yeah, like that's how you level up your intelligence in Persona. It's one of the easiest ways, most common ways of leveling your intelligence, and it just is kind of disappointing. Like if they were more like, if they were the kind of thing you couldn't easily Google, that'd be better. But anyhow, it's just like, here's 4 options, one of them's right. And so in a lot of games, you just quick load over and over again. Like if you've played Fallout or Fallout New Vegas, you quick load over and over again, trying all the different dialogue options until you find the one that's the right one for you. Kind of bad game design. Persona 5, you can't even reload, and it's a high stakes thing, so people just cheat constantly on it or press the D-pad if you're on the internet. Great. Yeah, I don't play it internet enabled, but it's just like, I mean, it's okay. Like I kind of get what they're doing, but it's not, in my opinion, good game design. Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, is good game design, where they're like, we don't know how you're going to solve this problem, but you've got tools. You got a giant magical magnet. You got a giant magical freezing tool thing. You got, you know, explosive bombs you can kind of toss, and there's round ones and square ones if you need to roll it somewhere. Like, you got tools. And however you want to solve it, man, that's cool. You know, you can start fires, and if you jump over a fire with your, you know, thing out, you rise up into the air. And so there's all sorts of puzzles where I've solved them, and then afterwards I'm like, I don't think that was how I was supposed to solve it. And I go and I watch online, and literally nobody solved it the way that I did. Like, I remember throwing a bomb. There's like all these teeter-totter kinds of things, and I threw a bomb because I was going to try and blow it up and kind of launch me, you know, off the teeter-totter. Like, that was my plan. And what happened was the bomb got stuck between 2 teeter-totters, and they stopped teeter-tottering because they ground to a halt because of the physics engine. And then I just walked across them, and I was like, huh, that was not what I meant to do, but it worked. Cool, you know. And so there's just, and that brings joy to the player, you know. Like when you figure out like a very clever way of doing something, like there's a frozen entrance to a puzzle, and you figure out, you know, maybe you're supposed to melt it this way or that way, but you figure out a clever way of melting it, then it's a good feeling. It's a feel-good moment, right? The motion control puzzles sucked. Which ones were those? The motion control puzzles? It was like you kind of, or is those the ones with like the magnets where you're like kind of magnetizing a door and like moving around? Those ones. But the point is that, like, in Breath of the Wild you have tools, and so it's not like there's a right answer. You've given tools, and you can assemble these tools however you want to solve the puzzle, and that's how I design. There's only 3 or so of those, yeah. That's how I design RPGs. So like I have made RPG games where I have no idea how the players are going to solve it. Right? I've made RPGs where I'm like, I don't know how they're going to. This seems like an impossible situation to me. I honestly have no idea myself how they're going to solve this encounter. Right? And sometimes it's as simple as like, there's a water source 20 miles away, and you need to get water to town. And so some of them are like, we'll build an aqueduct. And I'm like, all right, it's like 20 miles away. They're like, all right, I'm a sorcerer with a shaped stone and raise earth and all this other stuff. And they like sit down and they work out the math on it. They're like, yeah, we can shape a channel of water 10 miles today, 10 miles tomorrow, 2 days, we can get it done. You gave us a week to do this, right? I'm like, yeah, I gave you a week. All right, cool. Yeah, it'll take 2 days, and then and they sit there and they're like, okay, these are the tools we have at our disposal, and okay, so we need fresh food, and so we got a druid, and so if the druid uses all of his spell slots to create good berries, every spell casting of good berry creates 8 good berries, and a good berry is enough food to feed a person for 1 day. And so if he uses all 30 of his spell slots on making good berries, that's 240 good berries, and they last for like 24 hours. And so, yeah, let's say a full day's meal is like 2,000 calories, so that's 240 times 2,000. 480 million calories, I think we just made. And so we're going to brew those into juice and then divide them among the population. And by rationing out our good berry juice, we should be able to keep the city from starvation for the week, just on the druid. And like they sit, and I'm like, I have no idea how they were supposed to do that. You know, I have no idea how they're supposed to do it. They just figure it out. You know, and um, and every group I've run that game for solved it in a different way. You know, sometimes they ask me like, "What was the right answer?" I'm like, "There isn't one. I don't know how you're supposed to do it." You got to provide fresh food and water to a town. I don't know, dude. You tell me. I just give you the problem, you know. And Harlan posted a blank. There we go. Way too dank. Okay. So when you have a ball in the maze, you have to move around to get the ball to a certain goal. Oh yeah, those were annoying. Although I think you can cheat some of those too, honestly. Yeah, you turn the platform upside down and flick it. Yeah, it's really funny. So that's, to me, and believe me when I say this is just my personal opinion. Like, a lot of people think games like Call of Duty are well designed, right? They sell well, right? They think Skyrim is a well designed RPG because it's sold well. It's the highest selling RPG of all time. What could be wrong with Skyrim, you know? And the answer is, if you've played Daggerfall, you know what's wrong with Skyrim. You know, like, the more options you remove, like, and they do that deliberately, right? They deliberately remove options because they want to keep it simple. But simpler is not better, honestly. It might appeal to a wider market, but it doesn't make for a better game. All right, thoughts on it? Please chime in. You know, I know some of you guys are saying things on Discord, but you know, this is not me handing down the gospel truth. I'm just telling you what I think, I guess. Playing New Vegas recently as somebody who isn't like 13 made me hate Bethesda. I tried actually installing Fallout New Vegas a week ago or so. A week ago Wednesday. Because Tristan was hanging out and we were talking about Fallout New Vegas. He actually wanted me to offer you guys an assignment for modding Fallout New Vegas. And so I installed it and it immediately crashed. And so I installed the Fallout New Vegas anti-crasher, and then that crashed. And then I installed the memory patcher and it worked. And I'm like, cool. And then I put in the high-res textures and it crashed again. And then I finally got it stable. And it ran for a good half an hour, then it crashed. And I was like... I really love Fallout New Vegas, but damn, dude. And it looks good with the new high-res texture packs and all that stuff, but man, it's limited to 2 gigs of RAM, and that is not enough. Yeah, Fallout New Vegas is a very well-designed game, and so many different options in it, right? You can try running directly to New Vegas if you want. Run past all those death claws that are going to murder you. You know, you can do it if you want. But man, it's buggy. Like I spent probably 4 or 5 hours just installing mods and uninstalling mods, and I finally got it to work. And I was like, cool. And I was going and playing and having a good time. And then I hit quick save, and it literally crashed on the quick save. And I was like, on the quick save, it crashed. Just lost how much work. I was like, I'm not putting myself through this again. So I uninstalled it. I had the GECK installed for it. Like, I was going to get into like modding and all this stuff because I've modded various Elder Scrolls games before. And I was just like, oh man. I just wish they would make a special edition for Fallout New Vegas. You know, I think that there's probably some sort of licensing issue between Obsidian and Bethesda that would probably prevent that from ever happening. That was the one time Bethesda let another company run one of their IPs, you know, and it was better than theirs. Not going to make that mistake again. Game data corrupt. Yeah, just not even like a remaster. Yeah, maybe a remaster. Or a remaster would be really nice. Just with better high res models, high res textures. Have it be a 64-bit system, my lord, and just fix some of the crashing bugs. You know, like the unofficial New Vegas patches fix like 2,000 bugs, and it just fix some of that stuff. You know, it'd be Zennyback's issue now, right? Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Companies are stupid about things like that, even though it would make them both money. Like, it's dumb. Is Outer Worlds good? No. Mm-mm. Kind of. Outer Worlds is like if you trace the evolution of Bethesda games, where they get prettier and prettier, and then like simpler and simpler and dumber. Yeah, Outer Worlds is right on that line, man. Like. The difference between Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, Fallout 4 is a way dumbed down game in terms of like RPG elements, like story choices and things like that, compared to Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas is an outlier because it's by a different company and they blew Bethesda out of the water on it. Outer Worlds is just a super stripped down game, not very interesting. The game world itself. Doesn't know if it's supposed to be a parody or not, right? Like, it's kind of a parody of corporatism, but then it tries to be serious about it too, and it's just like it just comes off as stupid, right? Like, I found that cutting my workers' shifts from 16 hours a day to 12 hours a day increased their productivity, but my bosses wouldn't hear about it. It's like, well, if you're in a world that only cares about profits and increased profits, why wouldn't, like, are they just dumb? Is the thing they're just dumb? Like, that's the thing about this world, just everyone's dumb, you know. I like the Outer World devs watch speedrunners beat the game. Yeah, that was funny. I've seen that. Yeah, overall though, no, I couldn't even bring myself to beat it. I got 80% of the way through the game, and I just couldn't bring myself to beat it. It just is not. It's not well done. Pretty, you know, some good things they did. One thing that I do like they did is the game will offer you perks, negative perks, based on you screwing up in the game. And so, like, if you fall off a building and damage yourself too many times, it offers you a perk that, like, I don't remember what it is. It's like you take extra falling damage or something. Like, you've got fragile legs now or something like that. But it gives you a free perk. And so, like, if you get mauled by beasts too many times, you get like phobia of beasts, and so you do like half damage to them. I don't remember what the penalty is, but then you get a free perk point, and then you can get it. So you voluntarily accept a disfigurement or something like that in exchange for being able to take a free perk point and anything you want. So that was something I liked about it, because I like games that sort of adapt to what you're doing, and kind of I like worlds that change in response to what you're doing. That's a really big thing for me. And so, even though it was a small thing, it was just a perk point that just was like, oh, you've taken 100 falling damage. You now have agoraphobia or something, you know, if you want it. I did like that. Combat was pretty boring overall. World development was kind of minimal. Yeah, small game overall. I don't know. Dark Souls has good micro and macro world design. Yeah. Sekiro. A friend of mine has been raving about Sekiro and how good the world is, the background story, and how everything ties together. I just suck at the game, so I'm not really good. Like, and I acknowledge that. Like, I'm not playing on a controller, and the game really was designed for a controller, and so I just admit, like, I'm not capable of reviewing Sekiro. Right? Keyboard and mouse is not the right way of playing the game. I don't have the right mindset for games like that. Also, I don't like being punished for dying. Yeah. Like dying, like losing half your money, and like having to start over is like bad enough, and then they just like random innocent NPCs get sick the more times you die, right? And the way you're supposed to play the game is you're supposed to die over and over again until you learn a boss. And I'm just like, man, those porn PCs, they're all coughing up blood and stuff like that. Man, I feel bad for them. I'm just not going to fight anyone. I took the Buddhist way out because the game's all about Buddhist mythology. I'm like, I'm going to take the Buddhist way out. I'm just not going to fight anyone. Sorry. Uninstalled. Bloodborne is amazing. Yeah, I should check it out, I guess. So that is kind of my rant on game design. And so whenever you guys work in industry, which I hope you do, just be aware that all of these things should like, even if you don't have like a heat map tool or whatever, just watch people play your game. Like take an 8-year-old kid and have them play your game and see if they can figure it out. See if they get lost. Right? And just keep in mind that dumbing it down too much is gonna piss off more competent gamers, you know what I mean? So interesting. Alright. Just program the heat map tool, shouldn't be too bad. Yeah, you just record the location of players every second, add a counter to it. Make a 2D grid, add counts to the grid every second. Whatever. Okay. What is your next assignment going to be? So let me check this syllabus for this class. There's a lot of things we promised we would do, and I want to make sure we get to them. We spent the first third of the class doing computational geometry, which is cool. Create a 3D model. That's a good one. Design systems within their games that are fair, interesting, and fun. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think your next assignment will just be an essay. How about that? So we just spent the last hour talking about things that make games fair, interesting, and fun. Share your opinions with me. How about that? Does that seem fair? Does that seem like a fun assignment? I'm sure all of you guys have opinions on video games. Write an essay. Okay. It's a syllabus. Prado can do that right now. I've got opinions, man. I got opinions for days, man. Yeah. So we need to do animation also. Yeah, that's right. You do animation, creating 3D models. Which I'm terrible at. Publish a game. Yeah, I can show you guys how to do that. That's pretty easy, actually. Matrix math. We did that in 50A. We got that covered. Fundamentals of level design. That's what we talked about today. So, Climb World vs. Capcom is the best fighting game ever. Yeah, okay. So yeah, maybe that could be the prompt. What is the best game ever and why? Welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you. Right. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What game is fair, interesting, and fun? Maybe that's first half of it. Second half is talk about level design. What games do you think have a really good level design? Okay. Does that seem reasonable? 3 pages, 2-3 pages. You should be if you're a gamer of any sort, you should be able to rant about either games you like or games you hate. You know, I will rant about FF14 all day long. It's got a 20-hour long tutorial that you can't skip. Gamers rise up. Yeah. Collins, does that seem reasonable to you? Can you everybody here has played games. In IS50A, I sometimes get people that have never played games before, and so these assignments are hard for them because they've never played a game. I'm a gamer, and not because I don't have a life, but because I choose to not have a life. Yeah, and we need to talk about AI too. So AI ties in with animation as well. So we'll work on that next, I guess. I've already given a level design assignment, so I kind of am not going to do that again. I kind of feel like I should. I kind of want to do multiplayer. Actually, after next week, do you guys want to do multiplayer? Like create like an Unreal Engine? Or that's one option for next week. Next week the essay will be due. Because I want to have this conversation with you guys. And I'll read some of them to you guys as well next Friday. But we could either do multiplayer, like networking in video games, really important. Dragon Age just announced they're not going to be doing multiplayer. thank the Lord. Every one of BioWare's multiplayer Mass Effect tacked on Dragon Age multiplayers is it's so bad. It's so garbage. It takes resources away from actual real needs. Mass Effect 3. Anthem got canceled. Yeah, it was funny. The guy that spoke last summer, you can see the video in the links. He worked on Anthem, and he works for BioWare. Level design elite dangerous. Can we do multiplayer once the laptops have come? Yeah, the laptops should be here next week. Yeah, maybe we can hold that off. And so, what was the other thing I talked about? Multiplayer. What was the other one? AI. Yeah. What was the other option? Multiplayer and AI. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there is an AI engine in Unreal Engine, and so we can go over that, and that can tie in some of the linear algebra stuff. We did nav meshes last semester, so maybe, and they were kind of janky and broken. So maybe I'll put together a better demo of that for you guys. Where it was like it was working, and then I changed one thing, and all the AI stopped moving. It's like, what the hell? So yeah, that could be fun. So we can do AI next week then, and then the week after we can do multiplayer. I think Harlan's maybe a little bit PTSD'd over multiplayer Werewolf, but it should be easier. It's a lot easier to do on Unreal Engine. You just turn on multiplayer syncing, and there's some stuff you have to do to get it to look good. It's not, as long as it's not CMQ, you're fine. Yeah, you just check on a box like synchronize this, but there's you get these weird latency effects, and so there's some stuff you have to do. So I'll lecture on that next week. Next week, I guess. Yeah. Swear that was the most manic I've ever been on an assignment. Yeah. I mean, I keep trying to teach networking to students, and networking's hard. Not because it needs to be hard, but just because the interfaces are all terrible. Not terrible exactly, just terrible for students, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah, we'll do maybe we'll do like multiplayer tic-tac-toe. I don't know, something like that. And then it should be pretty easy, I think. In Unreal Engine, because Unreal Engine has multiplayer built into it, right? And then after that, I kind of want to do modding again, and I think I'm going to open. Let me write these down so I don't forget them. Networking to strip and it'll trickle down. There's no networking in the C++ standard library. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Okay. So next, so essay this week. I'm just writing this down on level design and what makes a game fair, interesting, and fun. Next week is going to be AI, and probably nav meshes. We'll do that again because that broke last time. And the week after that, we'll do multiplayer, and then modding. So I will let you guys mod a game of your choice. So if you want to mod Fallout New Vegas, cool. I actually started modding Valheim last night. So modding last? Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to do? Okay, I mean I'm willing to listen to modding last. Maybe we'll do more UE4 stuff, more advanced UE4. Maybe we'll do coding in UE4. Maybe. Okay. And we can do modding later. But yeah. So there's modding for Valheim. So I actually unzipped the one of the shared assets things, and I was going through their audio clips last night, So I'm trying to find the stupid deer noise. I don't know where it is, honestly. Nope, that's a crow. So, yeah. Energy rifle. How is there an energy rifle in Valheim? Alright, somebody's playing a different game than I am. But, fishing... Flamethrower? Flamethrower? Foley effects. Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to find the deer sound because I want to replace the stupid deer sound with Darude Sandstorm. So just when you're near a deer, it plays Darude Sandstorm. There, you guys can enjoy Darude Sandstorm. And so just anywhere deer around, you just hear techno music playing. Way less annoying than way less annoying than this stupid default sound. There you go. Valheim Sunrise is something else. Yeah, I'm sure there's not again. I have like 10 stacks of deer meat right now because I genocide deers because that sound is so annoying. I'll record a deer sound for you. It's saying, "Hey, I'm a deer." Maybe I'll just get like some little, like a tin whistle or something like that. Just a little off-key, thing. All right, so that's it for today, guys. Yeah, just right now, I'll put that up on Canvas. Should probably do another game review at some point too. Do you guys want to play a game in your group this week? So I feel like the essay is like kind of light on the homework front.
It would make sense, yeah.
Yeah,
if we're both reviewing a game and writing an essay.
Yeah,
about one.
It doesn't have to be the same game, but like maybe you could play Marvel vs. Capcom with Prado and something like that. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't even have to be a board game. It could be a computer game, whatever. Something new. I know Prado is wanting to play Tekken with me. Unless I get an actual arcade joystick setup, I cannot play Tekken. I've discovered this. Playing Tekken 7 on the PlayStation is not... does not happen. You play controller... Yeah, so some of the characters you can play using a controller, but some of them, like, you really have to have your fingers like this. A controller's like this, right? But on an arcade, your fingers are like this. And so some of the characters, like, they just don't play very well on the controller because you can hit 2 buttons at once with your thumb, but like doing the 1-3 and the 2-4 moves. So do you guys want to redo groups because we kind of have a lot of AFK students right now. Let's see. Groups. Oh, I don't have any groups yet. Okay, well, let's do this. Group set name. This will be the projects group. And I'll allow you guys to self-sign up. Okay. So go on to Canvas, and you'll see on Canvas there's the in the People Groups tab, you should be able to create a group and sign up for it and just organize yourself. So if you want groups of 2 to 4, something like that. Collins, Rosenberg, Sevilla, Prado. I know Harlan and Walker are probably going to play together. You've been trying to get the water plugin to work this whole lecture. You cannot get this to work. How do you water? Okay. What is the problem you are having, Prado? Water is great and infuriating. It's so nice, and yet there's like 2 inches of water sticking out through a rock wall. You're like, and you just want to sit there and shave off 2 inches of water. You sit there and tweak it, and yeah, the new water system is pretty damn cool though. But we discovered with Muya last night that if you do not have edit layers turned on, it will not work. And so when I was doing my landscaping tutorials, I always turned it on because we're gonna be painting layers, messing with that kind of stuff. But like if you just create a landscape map and drop water onto it, it doesn't work. You place into the world, it's showing up under your plane. Yeah, it might. The group tab is empty, so maybe I need to make groups or something. All right, spring 2021. IS50B. You guys can't make a group. You're able to create a group as a student. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I turned on self sign up, so you should be able to. Nope, you can't or can. All right, so in your landscape, make sure you have enable edit layers turned on for that. All right, but yeah, like things like this, just yeah, I just want to spend infinite time on that, and also creating like more realistic surfaces for the water to come out, stuff like that. Yeah, it's the kind of thing you want to really spend time getting to do right. The old way of doing it actually looks pretty good, honestly. Yeah. You get much better contours and stuff like that out of it. So Prado, remember you need to go into plugins, edit plugins, and make sure your water, shallow water and water are both turned on. And then once you do that, you make a landscape, make sure that enable edit layers is turned on, and then all you have to do is under place actors, search for water, and you can just drop a lake into it or whatever, and it will automatically clip the landscape for you and stuff like that. So easy peasy. Getting the colors to look right is a big problem. Like right now, the water looks way too bright blue, and so I darken the blue, so when you're close to it, it's actually darker blue, but then like from far away, it's like a shiny, it's like the tropical blue. That's the original color, so I need to mess with that. Randomized boundaries, yeah, there is a randomized boundary, but it, yeah. Okay. So it's a new system. I expect it to get better over time. Let's see here. So let's come to Canvas. If you guys are watching this at home, message people in the class and get into a group. Let me make an assignment here. And game modding, I guess we'll do that later. Harlan, Unreal Engine, nope, not used, nope. Game design, yeah. We've only done one game analysis, we'll do another one. So the game analysis can be play a video game or a board game with your group. Play a board game or a video game with your group. Then fill out the analysis form here. So we can have a conversation again about games and what games do well and what games don't do well. Let's hope that works. Okay. And the essay will be worth 20 points. So just rant about a game. Write a 3-page essay ranting or raving about a game that is fun, or the terms I use in the syllabus. Fair, interesting, and fun. Yeah. Thank you, syllabus. Fun. Fair, interesting, and fun. Or the opposite. A game that is not fair, interesting, or fun. You're a gamer. You have opinions. Second half of it should be talking about the level design of a level from a video game that you particularly love or hate. Why is it a good or horrible map design? How does the map maker control flow? Control the flow of activity through the map. Is it simple or complex? Do people get lost? Is it interesting? Answer those questions. All right, so submission, online, and there you go. Okay, so nothing technical today, just talking about video games. Have to focus on one game. Yeah, I would prefer one game. Or yeah, if you want to compare Diablo 2 to Diablo 3. It's better than like going through a laundry list of things, you know. I'd say 1 or 2 games, Rosenberg. Yeah. If we don't have all of the same game, can we stream it to group members? Sure, that works. Ranting and or raving. Sometimes both. Sometimes both. Fallout New Vegas, I love. I will rave about it, and I will also rant about how crashy it is as well. Porque no los, yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for sharing your opinions. I always like talking game design and game theory with people. I'll probably go play some Valheim right now or something. I don't know. Oh wait, I got a midterm tonight, don't I? Damn. Japanese. I need to study for that. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.